What do you want to do? What do you want? What do you want? You want to go get coffee and have a pup cup? I know you do. I know you do. I know. I know. You're so hungry for snacks. Coffee and pup cups are my favorite too. I love you. Okay, kiss. Kiss. Oh. Hi, this is Jenna with Brown Dog Craft Company, and today we're going to make a quick and easy card with Hero Arts products. We're going to be using Message in a Bottle and the Antique Hero Map. So here I have the Antique Hero Map. I've got it in my Misty, and I'm using an A2 panel of white Neenah Classic Crest Solar White. And I'm going to ink up my stamp with some cappuccino and press that down and get a good impression of that here on the panel. I'll ink it up a couple times, and then once we have a good impression of this map, which is super fun, it has really cute names on it. If you pay attention and read the names on the background of the map, we're going to antique it up a bit. So I feel like a treasure map should be worn and old. So we're going to take that same ink in cappuccino and ink blend more heavily on the edges of the panel. And then when I'm all done with the edges, I'll bring it into the inside some. So there won't be any white space left. But even though you're using the same color ink to blend on, it's not as intense as the stamped image. So you can definitely still see all the detail in the map there. Now just on the edges, I'm going to bring the darker ink, the mocha color, but just on the edges. So just enhance the outside a little bit. And then I'll do one quick final pass through the whole panel. So there's our background. Really cute. You'd have no idea that panel started out as white. So we'll set that aside to dry for a little bit. And I'm going to take a scrap of white here and the same ink colors in cappuccino and mocha, and I'll ink blend that onto the panel because we're going to make our own colored cardstock. So I wanted the sentiment strip to match. So we'll set that aside to dry, and we're going to heat emboss on top of that. So we want to make sure the ink is nice and dry before we heat emboss, otherwise the embossing powder will stick to everything. All the things we don't want it to stick to. I used some stitching rectangles to die cut the hero map there. Just adds a little bit of fun detail on the outside of the card. So now I'm going to take my Hero Arts Intensified Black ink, and I'm going to stamp some images. So I'm going to stamp 2 of the little islands with the palm trees and 1 of the flowers. And we're going to do some really quick Copic coloring. So nothing super intense. These images are really small and don't require a lot of ink at all. So I'm going to pull out, we'll color the flower first. So the reds I'm using are R35, R32, and R20. And I'll list these all over on my blog too, browndogcraftcompany.com. So you can see the colors and the images up close. And then the leaves for the flowers, as well as the leaves on the palm tree, are going to be YG63 and YG67. The inside of the flower will be Y11. And now when I'm adding the color to the flower, I'm using a flicking motion rather than like a solid coloring motion, just to get a bit more texture in the flower. And I'm not over blending. I'm leaving the marker marks in the cardstock so that the flower doesn't blend together too well. For the base of the palm tree, I'll use I'm trying to remember what I use, E55 and E35 and E37. Just blend those two together a bit. And then the beach, I'll use E53 and E55. And I will come back in with E35 and just use the tip of my marker to add some dots to add some texture in the sand. And then the water is going to be BG18, BG13, and BG11. So the teal family, the blue-green family. So I'll go under each wave with BG18 and then blend out a little bit with BG13 and then fill in everything else with BG11. And the dye cuts much closer to the waves and the beach and whatnot than I thought it did. So a lot of the coloring was probably a bit unnecessary, but you just never know. So, and then once these are all colored, I will use some Post-it tape and align the dyes and die cut those out. They line up really easily. They're such cute little islands, like a deserted island. So here I've die cut everything, and I'm going to use the bottle die to cut some vellum. So this is probably a lightweight vellum. And I'm going to put it here in my MISTI with the sticky mat. And I'm going to take one of the sentiments. It says, "Let's sail away." And I'll line that up in the center of the bottle here. Now, in order for ink to stay on things like vellum or acetate, you can't stamp with a normal dye ink. You have to use a solvent ink. So here I have StazOn in cotton white. It's my most used color of StazOn. Now, I stamped it once and clearly my I needed to re-ink my StazOn, so I left that in here so you can see how that's done. It's super easy. You have to do this every couple of times, so you just squeeze a little bit from the refill bottle onto the ink pad, and then it comes with this little like spatula that you spread the ink around with. And you'll see I didn't put that much ink on, and I only have to stamp once. So it stamps super easy and really well, and it's really cute. It will stain your stamp, but your stamp will still work just as well. So here it is. It's so cute. It stamps really well. It really is a great ink. So here we have that scrap that we created a little bit ago, and we're going to line up Adventure Awaits and stamp that. I've got my Simon Says Stamp embossing and watermark ink after I use my powder tool, my anti-static powder tool. I'll stamp that down here, and then we will emboss that in Hero Arts, Simon Says Stamp cream. Since nothing else on the card is white, I thought we should use cream. So then here we have all of our images, and I'm going to put foam adhesive behind everything. And then when you're adhering vellum, you have to be creative and hide your adhesive, because if you put glue or foam adhesive behind the vellum, you'll be able to see through it. So don't put your glue behind your vellum directly unless it's going to be covered by something. So here I'm just figuring out where the vellum will be covered and where I can add my adhesive, and then I will add all of my images that are all die cut and popped up. I love dimension. So and then we'll add the sentiment Adventure Awaits down on the bottom right there. And then I'm adding some Trinity Stamps boiled sugar hearts. I'll add 3 of them. And then last but not least, I will add a little bit of gel pen to the images, add some more dimension, and then adhere that to a top folding A2 card base. So a bit of coloring, a bit of ink blending, some stamping, some heat embossing. We didn't do any hot foiling, but I think we did almost everything else on this card. So I really hope you like it, and I hope you'll give it a try yourself, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day.